Hey there, just the first question is for Skylar. Hey, just what does a win like this say about your team? Just about its composure to like come back down from 21 points?
That we're equipped. Um, you know, we talked about the Indiana game, and obviously that was embarrassing from the jump. And we said, let's I don't know if you remember Men in Black where they kind of do to erase the memory. But we were trying to have short-term memory. We know we've been playing so many games. It's been a tough road trip, and we were pretty successful, on this road trip up to this point, up to the Indiana game. So we wanted to respond. We know this team never loses at home; they rarely lose. But we know it was about us tonight, and they got the jump on us, 25-12 in the first quarter. That's not how we wanted to start, but I thought, E came in, Tiff, Lexi, Dom, and the bench, and that really held it down in that first half, making sure, to try to cut that lead going into halftime, and then we had a conversation, made some adjustments at halftime. And then same, he came in off the bench. We had a unit there, Dom, Ezzy, and Slim, and myself, and we went on a 22-4, I think, to push it. And so it just was about us staying together. I mean, that 34-point third quarter was a big deal, but I think the most impressive thing was defensively and holding them to 17 and 16 in the third and the fourth. Yeah, 1,000%.
All right, Jeff, you're up.
Yeah, Erica, to go right along with that, like when the momentum is like clearly kind of changing, can you just talk about like what those moments are like? You can maybe feel them starting to press, complain to the refs, things like that, and just talk about that.
I mean, that's when, when it's like that, that's when we know we got them. And we got to keep putting our foot on their neck. And I think that's what we did. That's why we end up having that 20, what is 25, 20, whatever, four. And I think that's what we did. We didn't call a play. We played just transition ball, setting drag screens. And that's what got us back in the game. So we knew they was a little desperate. We were too, because we were down. But I think we just kept that momentum and we just played off that.
All right, Bella, go ahead.
Just you guys mentioned the defense being key in this game, but what was the key to the defense being particularly good in that second half?
I think the physicality picked up a lot. I think that was one thing that was disappointing in the Indiana game was they dictated on both sides, physical, we weren't getting open, but also, they were swinging that ball around. And I think, we stepped up our physicality. Ezzy was amazing in her presence, her blocking shots, 5 block shots, Dom's length on Nafisa, who's been playing at an MVP level all year. And so, I thought it was our physicality, our guards, locking in, getting into Courtney Williams, who's a tough guard, Slim tough in that pick and roll. And so I thought it was the physicality that picked up in the second half. And some of it was started from us playing down, but I think we realized, the more physical we were, the way we get to play the way that we want to on the offensive end, which was in transition. And like E said, we didn't have to play call a lot once we stepped it up defensively, but rebounding and physicality were the keys to getting us back in the game. Yep.
All right, Kasim, go ahead.
Hey guys, so Coach talked about energy in that last loss. I'm sure you guys talked about it after. You guys, they came out on the front foot. How did you guys kind of snatch the energy back? And where does the energy come from on the road in, such a tough environment like this?
I mean, we know where we are in the standings. We know that everything that we do moving forward is important. And that's how we playing. Like, yeah, we got down 20, but we showed, like Coach said in the locker room just now, that's the standard now. That we showed some grit tonight. So we got to stay at that level. So, man, it's just mainly about us. We're not worrying about nobody else. As long as we lock in on ourselves and do what we need to do to get these next games, we'll be fine.
All right, Andrew, go ahead.
Thanks as always. Eric, I want to ask you, was that the best win of the season for you all, considering how you came back 21-6 and responded the way you did after that Indiana game? Do you feel that's the best win of the season and how you all can build off of that and stay at this elite level?
Andrew, all wins is the best win. This one ain't it. I promise you, all of them is the best. So we want to win some more, though. So ask me that after these 4 games that we got. I'll be able to answer that in a better way. But today, all wins is the best win.
All right, Jeff, back at you.
Yeah, Skylar, you touched on it a little bit. I'd like to know a little bit more with the matchup between Nafisa and Dom and how it seems like Dom really does give Collier some problems. Can you kind of just talk more about that and maybe the confidence that can give Malanga?
I think Dom gives everybody problems
Hello.
on both sides of the basketball. Obviously, her length and, as the season's gone on, finding her footing and understanding how physical this league is, not just taking hits anymore, but giving a few back in return, and, timing. You learn people's cadence, after you've been in the league for a little bit longer. And so it's no surprise there. Nafisa is hard for everybody, and nobody's really figured her out. So, just trying to make it tough on her. And I thought Dom, Ezzy, Neka, that post group did a great job and, containing a really good player.
All right, Bella, go ahead.
Just Minnesota only have 8 losses this season. Obviously, 2 of them are to this team. Do you feel that your team matches up particularly well against the Lynx, maybe better than other teams in the league?
I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I just know we're like E said, we were just focused on what we have to do. This league is all about, matchups and things like that. For us, obviously, we felt like this was a must-win game coming in, wanting to finish a 5-game road trip. And so, I haven't really thought about that like that. I think we match up well to everybody. I think we're equipped versus any team. I think we're as talented as any team. But our focus now is just one game at a time and putting ourselves in a position for postseason. So I'm not going to give anybody any bulletin board material on that.
Hello.
But it's really about us and what we need to do, one game at a time. So.
All right, final question. Kasim, go ahead.
Hey guys, so the end of the third, how do you think that whole exchange changed the game? Obviously, the big shot, kind of jawing back and forth with emotions flaring. How did that kind of change the game, or was it already on a trajectory, you think?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Go Storm.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Coach, I'm just like wondering, how can a win like this possibly provide some momentum for the final 4 games and into the playoffs?
It could provide a lot of momentum for us, especially with the stretch that we have. First of all, coming on the road and having a game like this against the #1 team gives us confidence plus the momentum. And we've been kind of searching for this type of a game to have. And at this juncture of the season, I think this was a good one for us. Showed a lot of resiliency being down, coming back, having a 34-point quarter and going on a run in the second half. It was defense. It was connected defense. It was execution offensively. But, now taking that and coming home, that has to be the standard and the baseline. Can't go below that. We have to exceed that. But that gives us a lot of momentum coming back through the stretch that we have.
All right, Jeff, you're up.
Yeah, Coach. I thought that Dom and Ezzy both had some really huge minutes in this game. Can you talk about both of them? And also, I feel like Malanga gives Collier maybe some more problems than others. Can you kind of talk about that as well?
Yeah, I thought that Ezzy and Dom's minutes together gave us a good balance of defense and offense. Ezzy's activity level, she had some monster blocks. Just really communicative on the defensive end. I think 1 rebound at the half, but finished with 7, so her activity increased even more. She hit a 3. Just a lot of momentum plays for us, and some high-low looks. Dom spacing the floor, the gravity that she provides for us at the rim opens up like others, not just herself. And just the energy level they play at, the pace that each of them play with, that impacted, our possessions and really gave us a boost on both sides of the basketball. Dom, she does give Collier a little bit of trouble because of her length. And, Nafisa is a difficult matchup, and she can hurt you from inside and outside. But, Dom's agility to defend her around the court, plus, take away her 3 and contest and provide some, altering of shots, plus rebounding. I think, she did that at home, and then, doubled down tonight on the road and really impacted it on the defensive end tonight.
All right, Andrew, you're up.
Coach, congrats on the win. Was that the best half of the season for you all, considering to do this against a Lynx team and that needing to be the standard that you want to see your team have for the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, I think we could have folded, and even in the first half, like there was a group with Lexi, Gabby, Slim, NECA, and I think Dom or Ezzy, and they held it together. They got the thing to within 10, and um just the second half, how we played with the energy level, the confidence, the execution. Um, I would say this is our best half in the second half of the season, especially who we're playing against. And so, yeah, this has to continue to be the standard. We can't dip below that. And, even games aren't perfect. And so when there are lulls within the game or, we're not playing to our standard, we can always reflect back on how we do it because we've done it. We did it tonight.
All right, Bella, go ahead.
You mentioned it, the second half was, obviously really good from you guys, but what was the key to that second half being so much better, particularly the improved defense, given that sort of led to the offense?
Yeah, a lot of the things that Minnesota was getting in the first phase of the game in the first half were transition easy looks. Courtney got loose early before our defense was set. And, it is when you play Minnesota, you can't allow their defense to dictate what you do. You have to kind of fight their pressure with pressure, but you also have to execute. And so the things that were open, we weren't finding them as consistently as we were in the second half. So the threes that we got were strategically strategic. And so when we were able to get stops and execute on that, we're able to find where we can find some holes within their defense, the number one defense that doesn't have a lot of holes, but you have to be very mindful of how you can execute. But in the second half, I thought there was less transition points, less open threes, and a lot more balance to what we're doing.
All right, next we'll go to Kasim.
Hey coach, what do you think, have you guys gotten a chance to look at the deflection numbers? What did that look like, and how do you think you guys were disruptive in the second half?
Yeah, before we get a second look on it, we had 33 total deflections to end the game. And maybe when we look at it again, a few more. That's live play. But yeah, deflections, we always try to have a goal of 30 plus, and tonight we exceeded that goal because it is an indicator of our activity. And from our whole entire team, the way in which we impacted the ball, our rotations, our adjustments to some of their actions. When we're able to get hands on balls, get steals, that ignites what we can do on offense, getting easier buckets, getting in transition. That's what's been very successful for us.
Final question, we'll end with Percy.
Hey, coach, just when you guys were down 21, was there a particular message that you gave across and anything that you said at halftime?
Can't remember what it said at halftime. I wasn't too high or too low. I believe I just, we just had to make adjustments, and a couple of those adjustments were just doing it the correct way. Very collaborative and asking what they felt they wanted to do, especially with Courtney Williams. And so we made that adjustment at half. During the 21-point, deficit, part of that was we weren't getting back in transition defense. So kind of just trying to clean up areas and, possession by possession, trying to, cut the lead at every mark that we could. But honestly, it was their resiliency, their fight, their will. They didn't say die. After the game, I talked about there was never a point during the game where I felt defeated or deflated, and that could have happened to us. That has happened to us. Everyone stayed even keeled, and we took care of every possession. We improved every possession, and walking away with a victory.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.